Member Collins? Member Lewis?
Here.
Member Young Johnson?
Here.
Member Williams?
Here.
We have the approval of the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from July, was that 12th? Yeah.
I second.
We have motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have unfinished business special event request for Windows of Light counseling. Is anyone here from Windows of Light? I think we'll table that. Scott, would you give a motion to?
I make to table again the Windows of Light fundraiser solicitation tag day.
I'll second
three.
that motion.
We have motion and a second. Nina, what was the date they were requesting for that? Do you know?
I have October 1st.
I'll get in touch with them and make sure they want to still have the request.
So we have motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have new business tag day request, cheer and tumble headquarters. I'm here. So if you want to come forward. Hi.
Should I sit or should I stand? I feel.
So you've gotten all of the
Yep. I turned
directions and everything. You know what you have to do?
Yep. I
Okay,
did all my stuff. I was just
Okay.
told to be here.
okay.
And you know which intersections you can do this?
Nope, they just told me to come here. I filled out the paperwork and they said, come here.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
the-
on the form, too, that she gets.
Okay.
Yeah, there's only certain intersections that you can be at, so be sure
Okay.
you check your forms so that you're not at an intersection where we
We can't
don't
be.
want you and it's not safe for you, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. They're all on Central Avenue. It's Hamstrom in Central,
Okay.
Irving in Central, and Vivian in Central.
Okay.
Okay? Those are the three.
Thank you.
I make a motion to approve the tag day permit for Mandy Carroll and the cheer and tumble group.
I'll second the motion.
We have motion and a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
We have a solicitor's permit request for Robin Hood Restoration. Would you please come forward?
Good morning.
You guys can sit down. You don't, if there's chairs there, you don't have to stand.
Thank you.
So is this your first time to Portage soliciting?
Yes.
Can you explain what your business does and what you're involved with?
Yes, so we are a general contractor that works with homeowners in storm-related damage. So we offer free inspections around the property, take a look for any damage caused from it, wind, hail-related, and we walk them through the insurance process, and then we get them with a contractor if the work gets approved.
Okay. Have you submitted the names of the actual solicitors to our police department?
Yes, it would just be William Monroe.
Do we have any feedback from the police on that report?
Yeah, Captain Harmeling went through it. He usually goes through these things and said we don't have any issues, so we're good to go on our end.
Thank you, Chief.
So
Where's your-
you just go door to door and you have literature?
Correct, yeah, we have a flyer, obviously, to leave if nobody's home. It just has some information about us, about the free property inspection, a phone number they can call us at, and our address that's located in Crown Point.
What about identification for the individuals that are soliciting? What are you using for ID?
So that's one of the things we don't currently have, that we're working on implementing as we speak, getting some kind of ID cards made that can clearly identify them.
Yeah, I think typically we like for them to be visible
Okay.
on the person.
Something clipped on the shirt or something like
Yes.
that? Okay,
And,
understood.
having a proper ID
Okay,
on themselves, so if a resident asks, you can show the proper identification that matches the solicitor.
fair enough, okay, understood. Yes, sir.
I am said solicitor. I will always have my driver's license in my pocket at a bare minimum.
Yeah, I think people now are kind of skeptical. Chief, you had something?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I agree with what, Councilman Williams said. You're likely to get called, or we're likely to get called on you if there's not some type of identification. I mean, unfortunately, it's a thing where people go around and try to scam, homes and stuff, try to get into houses, and so generally, if there's not something that's showing who you are, we're probably gonna get a call, so it'd probably make everybody's life easier if they, there's something that shows, who you are and what you're doing, so I understand with your ID. but,
No, I'm spot on with something clipped on.
Yeah, if you've got something, because otherwise, people, we tell them, see something, say something, and
Yeah,
they say something.
understood.
So-
Yeah.
So, just make sure you're identifiable, and it'll make it easier for everybody.
Perfect, will do.
So
Thank you.
sometimes people wear like a lanyard around their neck and then they have their ID in one of those little plastic things. It just, people will call the mayor's office, they will call the police department, so it's best just to be prepared.
Understood, thank you, okay. We'll have that done today.
So you intend on starting when?
As soon as possible.
Yeah, I see that your initial request was July 22nd.
Correct, yeah, we had a little bit of a delay with getting the background check submitted in time, so that was when we had initially filed for the permit, but as soon as possible.
I don't have any other questions, Mayor.
We'll need a motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve the solicitor's permit for Robin Hood restoration.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Yeah, just be sure you have all the proper ID, and then let them know that you have gone through the city, so that sometimes people will call the city, even though you have a lanyard on you, so just let them know that. So all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time.
We have a curb waiver request for Brookside subdivision and Airport Road. AJ, welcome back to the city, AJ. Did you have a good vacation?
I had a wonderful vacation. But it's good to be back. It's good to be here. Yes, the office has received a request for a curb waiver from Lennar. They're the developers of the subdivision on the east side of Lute Road in the neighborhood of Airport and Monda. If you've been in that area, you've seen that they've made an improvement to the east side of Lute, basically north of the credit union to just north of Monda. They've filled in what used to be that section of Robbins Ditch. They've extended the road and they've placed curb. Their work within the Robbins Ditch ends at Monda, and they do not have plans to make any modifications to the Robbins Ditch section from Monda north to where it curves off to the east. Initially, at the Plan Commission, it was believed that The curb could be placed from Monda north to the adjacent subdivision. There's a few houses that front on Airport Road. When the contractor was on site assessing the situation, it was concluded that they could not make they could not perform the necessary work that would assure that this newly placed curb would work from Monda north. So I believe in your packets you have a letter from Lennar, and that explains their request and what they identified on site. Sandy and I have had a chance to look at the area and believe that Mr. McSherry is correct in his assessment, the assessment of Milestone, their contractor, that the work that would need to be performed to work in that section of Robbins Ditch is not possible at this time. I would also add for the board's consideration that the city stormwater board and the department is currently working with their engineer on securing permitting and for a new construction project that would remove that last segment of Robbins Ditch along Airport, and that is underway. The reason why it wasn't all done at once is there is a limit to how much, in the permit that they secured through the Army Corps of Engineers, there was a limit to how much they could perform, how much work they could perform in relocating that ditch. And that's why it's been divided into two different projects. My understanding, and some of this was taking place before I came back to the city, that this was understood by the city, that this was going to have to take place in two phases, let's say. And so we're at that point in time where this request needs to be made. Like I said earlier, Sandy and I have looked at the situation. We're comfortable with it. We would make the recommendation to approve the curb waiver agreement, and I believe that this is also included in your packets. The curb waiver would be to Lennar Homes, and the waiver amount to be paid to the city would be $8,750. I'm available if you have any questions, or if you'd like Sandy to come forward and answer any questions you may have. I'll conclude my comments.
I have a couple of questions. So on the part they filled in, so is it really filled in? There's no drainage tile under there?
That's correct.
Okay. So what kind of curbs are there?
Those are barrier curbs. There may be some inlets dealing with the stormwater that's would be running off of Airport Road. But Robbins Ditch, if you go within the development, within the Brookside development, Robbins Ditch has been relocated, and it now kind of makes its way east from Lute Road to the eastern limits of the development, and then north along this property, this development's property line that shares with the solar farm that's directly to the east. So they've permitted the relocation of that segment of Robbins Ditch.
So that'll be the next section that gets filled in.
The permit that the Stormwater Board's engineer is working on would be filling in a portion of the balance of Robbins Ditch along Airport Road.
And then who would put the curbs in then?
That would be a public works project by the city of Portage.
What about sidewalks, AJ, on the east side of Airport?
My recollection is that there are to be sidewalks placed. I recall this board considering a bridge that would cross a portion of Robbins. Now it's a question of timing. Where does the Portage's project fall, the Stormwater Board's project fall in relation to the timing of the installation of that sidewalk and bridge, pedestrian bridge. If the permitting moves quicker, instead of the city of Portage inheriting a wood pedestrian bridge across Robbins Ditch, I would suggest us slow down a little bit, let the permitting take place, let that public works project take place, and then just install a sidewalk. Again, though, that's gonna come down to timing of the city's project in relation to when Lennar plans on building that public improvement, or those public improvements.
So are you saying there's a chance, based on timing, that the sidewalks and/or bridge, walking bridge, will not be installed on a timely basis?
I think we're gonna have to consider the duration, or the timing that it's gonna take the Stormwater Board's engineer to secure a permit for that project, and the Stormwater Board to make a decision on whether or not that project's a go or no-go. That would be my first statement about timing. However, with this board does expect a wooden pedestrian bridge to be built across Robbins Ditch and a sidewalk to be constructed on the east side of Robbins Ditch. So the pedestrian access is secured through this board with the developer. I'm warning that and suggesting that if the timing works, that we be mindful of timing of construction, especially if we know that it's as simple as installing a 5-foot sidewalk as opposed to the inherent responsibilities of a wood pedestrian bridge and that other sidewalk.
And the request is a waiver for 350 feet. Is that
This is only related to the
curb.
curb.
Correct.
The sidewalk and pedestrian bridge were, I believe, handled by this board previously.
correct? So in your estimation, the $8,750 is adequate for 350
Yes.
feet
this-
of curb?
Yes, sir. This is consistent with the numbers that we have and have been contracting with our contractors on public works projects in the city.
So eventually, then, as you stated, I just want to make sure I understand, and the board understands, that curbs will be put in there at a public works project eventually.
If and when the permits are secured through the Stormwater Board and the Stormwater Board makes a decision on moving forward with that public works project, that the curbs would be put in at that point. Short of that, the curbs will not be installed between Monda and the subdivision to the north due to the on-site situation that I've previously talked about this morning and Lennar and their contractor identified while on site.
So curbs will go to about Monda now, based on the area that they've covered.
Correct.
What happens to the water at the end of that curb?
That is a, Sandy, is that a ribbon curb? No, it is. It's a barrier curb? And it's collecting the water back into the subdivision? For the portion that has already been installed, yes. Yeah. So at the northeast corner of the intersection of Monda and Airport, the developer has installed a barrier curb, or a curb and gutter, on the northeast corner of that intersection. As it makes its way back to Airport, that water's collecting off Airport and coming back into the subdivision's drainage system.
But once the curb ends, right, it just flows in the ditch.
Yeah, as it stands right now, when the curb ends, it is it's edge of asphalt, and it is sheet draining east off Airport Road and into the ditch, the open ditch that's there north of Monda.
So just so I guess we understand, there won't be a curb there unless it's done by the Public Works.
Correct.
And hopefully we get the permits for that.
Correct. Yeah, there's an agreement between the developer, the contractor, and the department that it's not possible to install a curb as proposed that would connect the newly constructed curb at Monda and Airport to the existing curb at the subdivision to the north.
For the same reason they can't put a guardrail in, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that slope is in very close proximity to that edge of pavement.
So AJ, I have a question. The sidewalks, were they filled in already? Will the sidewalks be there where they filled that in? Because I'm worried about subsidence. I mean, how compacted is that? Because that was a big hole before.
Yeah, we've been working with the contractor on both how they're compacting the edge of Airport Road. We've gone through some testing with them and an agreement of how we're going to proceed with that. And a similar approach has been taken with the improvements behind the curb, specifically the sidewalk that you mentioned. And so our engineers have looked at it and believe that everything is in order and we won't have a problem.
So what did they fill with, just dirt?
They've been filling it with stone, aggregate, dirt borrowed from the site, yes. All suitable materials per their construction plans.
So then if the sidewalk, I'm worried about that, if the sidewalk does become uneven or unsafe, then is that on us to repair that sidewalk and pull that out of there?
It would be. Our engineers have reviewed the construction plans for the subdivision. They've approved those construction plans. So just in any public works project, we've had our municipal engineers looking at that, and they believe that what's been submitted is adequate to make sure that that public improvement is good.
I'll make a motion that we grant the curb waiver for the Brookside subdivision on Airport Road to Lennar Corp.
I'll second.
We have motion and a second. Are there any further questions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, AJ. We have bulk item appeals. Do you have any, Darren? No. Thank you. And I do not believe we have any claims at this time. Oh,
We do have some MI too.
did you get those? Okay, we'll proceed with the claims first. Did everybody get a chance to look at the claim sheets?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I do have one question on page 6, about in the middle. Governmental interinsurance exchange, legal services versus Guerrero for about $2,900. Nina, can you explain that, please?
GIS is our kind of like our self-insured insurance company that pays claims, so there's a like $25,000 deductible. So if there's any litigation or anything like that, we have to pay up through the first $25,000.
So does this finalize that
That would be
litigation?
that would be an attorney-written question.
Okay.
I don't believe it's a final. I believe it's just they bill us monthly as as there's billable hours.
Nina, I had a question on page 6 as well, and on 7. We have had some changes on the Planning and Zoning Board, so I wanted to make sure that I see that a couple of the people that are listed on there are no longer on there. So was that just catch-up pay for them?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
So was Guerrero a resident, an employee? Just out of curiosity, if you can.
I can pull that and get back to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions on the claims?
I did have one addition. It's an ARP actual docket. It's only one invoice. There was a mix-up between myself and Diane. I handled all of the ARP claims just to make sure that I have copies of it for audit. And so she thought that I had already taken care of it, and I did not. So it's for $9,355. I can pass it down. It was for radar units for the PD. I just didn't want them to have to wait.
I don't want to approve those.
So Nina will need to add that to the claims?
Yeah, it's a separate docket on its own.
Okay, so we will approve that.
Yes, please.
So I would need a motion for the first list of claims that we previously discussed.
I'll make a motion for the claims in the amount of $258,214.55.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Are there any further discussions? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We will need a motion for the ARP invoice of $9,355.
Make a motion to approve the ARP invoice for $9,355. You said it was for radar units? All right.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. We have major illness claims.
Attorney Witten approved 8 MI, 3 COVID, and 1 was declined.
I'm sorry, 3?
3 COVID leave, 8 regular MI, and then 1 was declined.
Make a motion, we approve the major illness claims for 8 regular and 3 COVID.
Second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any other business to come before this board at this time? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
We have motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone.